Welcome to the Global Pulse, a short video series where our experts break down a trending topic in international business and why it matters to you.
FIFA has introduced dynamic pricing for the 2026 World Cup for the first time in the tournament's history, making it the most expensive ever. And there's been a lot of media coverage about this. The New York Times last week ran an article which talked about uh, going into debt. People were going into debt in trying to get tickets to get to the games. And Argentine fans were amongst the ones who were hit hardest because they've been facing ticket prices that have more than tripled since Qatar in 2022. And some group stage tickets are exceeding $800. That's more than the average monthly wage in Argentina. And fans are going to have to go into extreme lengths, taking on debt, maxing out credit cards, sleeping 10 people in a room, in order to make it to the games. Now, FIFA is also taking a 30% cut on the resale tickets with prices on the secondary market, and those are also going to extremes, which is making getting a ticket very challenging for people. And fans, soccer fans, and in particular Argentine fans, are very passionate. They are credited very widely for creating an atmosphere that defines the tournament. But with this kind of pricing, many are likely to be priced out of actually attending the games. And so there's been a lot of protests around this as well, which is a point to be concerned about. So broadly speaking, it's not just the fans who are concerned. Political backlash is also growing. Group of lawmakers in the U.S. called on FIFA to lower the costs. Many fans are actually calling this a betrayal, not very happy with the way FIFA has been going about this. And the resale market is not helping, it is making things actually worse. And the things that the tickets that are advertised as affordable are often seen as a bait and switch because these are extremely limited, they're tucked away in very undesirable sections and are quickly snapped up. So all of this is raising fears about the atmosphere and authenticity. But the establishment seems to believe that this is something which is likely to stay. Now, what's going on here, right? And let's try to sort of parse a little bit about the business aspects of this decision on FIFA's end. So what they're doing is essentially dynamic pricing, right? So they're adopting dynamic pricing from a revenue optimization standpoint. It is entirely rational to do this. It is a very similar kind of an algorithm that airlines or Ticketmaster or Uber might use to charge what the market will bear when the market will bear it. So the economics are quite strong around this. The demand is fairly inelastic, supply is fixed. So this kind of pricing can actually help FIFA maximize yield. But the thing to be careful about is that dynamic pricing is actually a tool. It's not necessarily a strategy about how to go about things. It tells you how to price and not what you're actually selling. And the core concern here, one of the core concerns could be that FIFA might be misidentifying the product. While it might believe that it is selling tickets to soccer matches, that's necessarily not what it is, right? It is selling an atmosphere. It's a globally broadcast, emotionally resonant game, and the value depends enormously on who fills those seats. And if the passionate fans are unable to be in those seats, then the atmosphere could be drastically different, and that could impact what the perception of the game is and what the appeal of the game is. So that is something that needs to be explicitly taken into account in considering the potential impact of a pricing strategy like this. Another point to think about here is from the consumer psychology perspective, which is the sacredness of this consumption experience. These are purchases oftentimes driven not by a calculus of utility on part of the consumer, but more driven by identity, belonging, and meaning. So if people are going in a long ways to be able to afford a ticket like this, then that can have an impact on how consumers perceive value from the game. And so this can create an acute, ethical and strategic problem for FIFA. These kinds of consumers might be highly exploitable in the short run because their demand is so inelastic, but exploiting them can trigger a very powerful psychological response. There might be moral outrage to this action on part of FIFA, and this might be something that ends up changing the nature of the game. The game is something for everyone, and because of this pricing, it could turn into something for the very few. And that can impact the future demand of the game, even if it yields very high profit in the short run. So to wrap up, it might be prudent for FIFA to take a longer term view in implementing their pricing strategies. Clearly, there is the short term gain from doing dynamic pricing, but there might be a reputational risk that FIFA might be exposing itself to by going this way.